deep, let the soul lift. The podcast to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast is to grow with. The clarity is potent.
Hey, everybody, we're back for another episode of The Dynamic Pause with Coach Angie. And I'm always thrilled. Y'all know that. I say it all the time, but it's always the truth, okay? I am so thrilled to have with me today Lenisa Epenesa Kerson with us today. And baby on board. Oh my gosh, that's so special. This is the first baby on board interview.
Woo.
So she or he are, have you done the reveal already?
It's a boy.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh my gosh. So he's going to be getting all the gems with us, okay, today as we talk about all things leadership and Lenisa's journey. And I'm just thrilled to know you, girl. And we run into each other out there in those streets. And I love that I got to meet you at a time that was so special for me at the onset of this relaunch of my business and the rebrand and this kind of like clipping my wings and going for it. And you were one of the people who were a part of a program that happened here locally for business. And it was an accelerator program. And it was just really cool to get to know you there and engage with you weekly and hear you share your story. So even then, before I knew exactly when I'd be doing a podcast, I've been talking about doing this for a long time, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to shape up, but I knew I loved hearing the stories of people as they lead. And your story is just very dynamic and it's one that is very inspiring. I know it wasn't easy, and that's what drew me to it almost, because a lot of times we get the picture from the outside, we get the social media look and all of that, but there's so much more that's often behind that. And I'm excited that we get to sit down together and do this thing.
Thank
So
you.
welcome.
Thank you so
for
much for
coming.
having me.
Of
I'm so
course.
excited to be in your space. It's so beautiful. It's
Thank
so calm.
you.
It's so warm.
Oh,
So
that's what I was hoping for. She knows me well. So, Lenisa, I'm going to let these guys hear a little bit about you. And there's a couple of things that have changed even since I first, got this from you. And so you can tag on all of that because
Okay.
I'm excited for some of the new stuff too, right? So Lenisa started her business in 2020. 2020. Do we all remember what happened in 2021? Okay. Right from her apartment, turning a passion into a purpose-driven journey. What began as a side hustle quickly grew into a full-time venture when she made the bold decision to leave her job at CMAR after 3 years. Since then, Lenisa hasn't just grown horizontally. She's expanded vertically, offering coaching and training while building a strong team. Love her team. I love seeing her team interact with each other. It's all about creating opportunities and helping others reach beyond their potential. And a proud University of Washington alum. Okay, I know that there's some people out there tripping on I often find myself in the midst of Cougars and the UWs people. I'm not either, but I respect it. I respect it. Lenisa is passionate about community education and empowering others to break through their limits. She's here to inspire, connect, and lift others up, both in business and in community. And just tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you first for the introduction. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Level Up Studio started in 2020 as Lashes by Lenisa. So the main goal in that was trying to pay off student debt so I can go back to school to be a nurse. And through that, I just fell in love with entrepreneurship. Also, it was the time of COVID, as you mentioned. So there was a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And I'm a challenge girl. So I love me a good challenge. And something about me is I love also to work really hard. And so with entrepreneurship, I noticed with my hard work, there was a return. And maybe it wasn't right away, but the return wasn't just it wasn't money. It
Yeah.
was the feeling that I was craving through nursing, was
Wow.
helping people, healing people. And sometimes the power of someone laying in my lash bed
Yeah.
was, for the first part, it was, they're wanting their lashes done, but it was
Sure.
always so much more than that. It
Mhm.
was sharing stories and, part-time therapy. Sometimes it was therapy
Yeah.
for the client, sometimes it's therapy for me. But through that, with nursing, what really drew me to that too was there was so much opportunity. So even
Okay.
though you were a nurse, you can go into this field or this
Sure.
field.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the same dynamic with entrepreneurship. I was like, the lashing is not what I want to do. So I knew Lashes by Lenisa wasn't going to stick. So in 2021, Level Up Studio was launched. And I
Yay.
knew I wanted to see more than just women. I wanted to be a space for anyone to come in, feel welcome and invited. And so I started Level Up Studio. Then it was permanent makeup and then teeth whitening and tooth gems and then tattooing.
Okay.
And coaching was something that kind of just fell in my lap.
Mhm.
And I think all of us as entrepreneurs, sometimes we can hit a point of imposter syndrome
Oh, yeah.
because, I always feel like I'm constantly learning and I'm
Mhm.
like, who am I to teach if I'm still learning? But at the end of the day, the best teachers are students, right? And
Yes.
so, um, fast forward to I think it was 2024 was the first cohort that I started teaching. And it was something that I knew it was part of my calling and I just needed to step into it.
Yeah.
And so one, it was amazing. Shout out to Jermaine,
Yes, I
my
know.
co-instructor,
Yeah.
and everyone in the room, including you. Like you guys were the bigger room that I needed to be in. Entrepreneurship is challenging and you can only do it for so long, but it's not meant to do alone.
Yeah.
You can only get to a certain part alone until you need that community.
That is so good.
And
Yeah.
I really fell into such a blessing to be around people who are hungry, who are
Mhm.
wanting to grow. And so from all of those services to teaching, and now I coach on the side.
Yeah.
I think education is absolutely my calling. I love teaching. And, even coming from a childhood where you should just know, like you just
Oh,
need to
are you the older child?
and I'm the oldest
That's
too.
why. That's why. That's why.
Yes, yes. So all of the things being in an Asian Islander
Uh-huh.
home, and then on top of it being the oldest
Older.
sibling, you should just know,
I
right?
understand that well.
Yeah. With no explanation, you just need to know.
Yes.
And so that's why I have such a passion for education, whether it be coaching or my fine line tattoo courses or workshops or just sitting down with people and talk about life.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, people don't know what they don't know. And
Yeah.
so it's so beautiful when you kind of like open that and you challenge people. I mean, I can go down this whole thing, but when you really allow people to think on their own, I think that's
Yeah.
so much more
Yes.
powerful versus ABC,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's just such a beautiful thing to
It
be
is.
able to teach. And at the same time, I'm constantly learning because everyone
Yes.
speaks different languages.
It's so
So
true, and bring different experiences to the
mm,
table, and, that's a thing, I think that's a uniqueness too with some of the business coaching or the business edge of coaching,
hmm
because a lot of times, like you said, as an entrepreneur especially, you have some, imposter syndrome. I'm learning from my engagements with all kinds of leaders that everyone deals with it to some
yeah,
degree. I think a lot of times when you're stepping into something, you're like, okay, what is happening? You know that passion's there.
right.
You understand your craft, but the big picture of being an entrepreneur or being a business person, because you can step into entrepreneurship and never learn business, we may
Right.
not see you after a while, or you might just be winging it like a lot of times it happens.
Mhm.
But there's another little edge. Once you know that you're supposed to learn business with your entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
um, then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, I don't know anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's no manual for this.
It's
There's no
like,
manual.
and so I love what you said earlier about everyone reaches a point where you
Mhm.
can only go so far by yourself. And then you need community. You got to start bringing people in, whether it is a team
Mhm.
or it is a community of other business people, whatever it is. I just love that. And it's so true. So much truer than what we understand sometimes because we're always going. And when we're going and there's 30 things that need to be done, we will just keep hopping to the next thing that needs to be done. And maybe we got this one 80% done, but this one is kind of creeping up on us. So we feel like we better start that one. And then, so sometimes it takes a little longer before we realize, wait a minute, if I'm going to get to 100% complete on this, I'm going to
Right.
have to bring somebody else in because this is
100%. Yeah.
not my thing. And it's okay for it to not be our thing, right? We just don't realize that. I think as business owners, sometimes we carry this thing where we feel like we're supposed to know, just like you said.
Yeah.
And when we get to a point where we don't, then it's like, wait, I can't, who am I telling that I don't know this? You know,
Right.
they're not gonna wanna buy from me if they don't think I know. But that imposter thing, it kinda sticks with you, it
Right.
can, you know, some you gotta have a plan already in place to shake it, like, shake
Right.
it off, you know, when it sneaks up. So you started in your apartment, doing the lashes, and so that meant limited resources, limited space,
Mhm.
probably limited everything. So what was your biggest constraint in those early days, and how did you work around it?
I think the biggest constraint, and when you were talking earlier too, it reminded me of like the different pots is like if you want 100% out of something, you have to put 100%
Mm,
into it.
that's
If
good.
you put 20% here and then 100% into your full-time job, you can't expect more than 20% out of your
Mm,
business,
that's
right?
good.
So when I was working out of my apartment, it wasn't the space necessarily, it was the time because time is
Gotcha.
so limited.
Mhm.
I mean, I was working in CMAR from Tacoma, so
Yeah.
that's South Park. It's 8 to 5. I had to leave my house at 6:30 AM, and then
Wow.
I wouldn't get home till 6:30 PM.
Okay, yeah.
And I was working from 5 to 6:30 in the
Mm,
morning, and then I was working 6:30, or I probably got home, changed
mhm.
7 to 11. So that
Wow.
was my life. I sacrificed so much,
Yeah.
and I was younger. I was, like, moving. I
Uh-huh.
had the space and capacity for it, but they
Sure.
even that expires.
Mhm.
And so eventually I was like, "Okay, I want more out of my business." But oftentimes what I noticed, especially through coaching, is well, I don't wanna quit my job until I make more in my business.
Mhm.
Like, well, how do you expect more out of your business if you can't pour more into it?
Mhm.
So I knew there had to be a change. And for
Yeah.
me at that time, I knew I had to go down to part-time or quit.
Yes.
And I hadn't had a community around me that experienced that. So I went down to
Oh,
part-time. I poured more into my business, and just that sliver of an extra day or two like, showed an exponential growth in my business. So I was like, "Okay, I know that I'm putting the work in
yeah.
and my business deserves this." I had to pray about it. I really had to make sure that this wasn't just a thing I was gonna do because 'cause I'm a
Whimsy.
jumper.
Yes.
If I want something, I'm gonna
You're
get it. I'm
gonna
gonna
get
make sure I it happens. And so I really had to sit in it.
I love it.
And so from that, I knew eventually I wanted a space, but not having the examples around me, I was
Sure.
like, "That's so out of reach." Like, I'm
It
gonna talk about it,
feels
but it
yeah.
feels so big, but it's anyone who's trying to grow a business or start a business, nothing is ever too big.
Thank you for saying
And
that, yeah.
it's one of those things that you have to be how do they say when you're first generation? You'd
Yeah.
have to be the first generation. You have
Mhm.
to allow yourself to step into it. When you're called to be somewhere, you need to own the crown that's already on your head. You don't wait
Yes.
for the crown to get put on your head. It's been there,
I love it.
So when I decided to quit, that's when I was like, okay, it's time to do this full
Wow.
force. So the resources were limited,
Mhm.
but one of the most beautiful things I feel like in business is I've noticed as I've been growing is if you can't find it, you have to create it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a community, you have to create the
I
community.
love that.
If you're a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't know how to, do this." Well, I'm like, "How much are you out there?"
Mhm.
If you're not in
Mhm.
person, then you have to be on the screen. And if you're
It's
not on
so
the screen, you gotta
true.
be in person.
I mean, yes. And yes, I know, I know. I'm glad you said that because there's some days like because that's something that kind of already was with me, so I kind of knew that. But what I also knew just because of my personality, which I'm still working on this, but so all of you listening, what I knew was that I need to be very intentional about my in-person spaces
Right.
and not getting caught down too many rabbit holes, even in some of my virtual
Yeah.
expressions because I don't meet strangers very often. I just talk to everybody.
You
It's
do.
just so easy for
Yeah,
me to do.
yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, tell me more, whatever. And that's just something that's naturally with me. And I love it. I don't want to get rid of that, but I just have to be more intentional about that. As a business owner, I have to be more intentional about that. But when you walk away from a situation, does a person know exactly what you were showing up for? Which I think one of the things we haven't mentioned yet is Tacoma Connect, where you are one of the principal players there. I love that. And you guys do a really good job of honing in on that, even though it's a really cool space to be. The vibe is awesome, but you really do make sure that people attending understand what they're there for and
Yeah.
and doing it in a great way. I can see the little groups of people who have like really bonded together
It's
and
beautiful.
collaborating and figuring out ways to do what they do and come together and do what they do, which is really
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those spaces that you have to insert yourself.
Yeah.
I think that was really hard for me when I was in nursing and I was doing an internship. Nurses don't want nothing to do with the interns. They just want to get the job done.
You're
But
just going to
yeah,
slow them up.
yeah. So I'd have to insert myself.
Sure.
And I have, you know, something that I had to heal from was rejection, like a
Mm.
fear of
Mhm.
rejection.
Mhm.
But, you know, there's so many things that it's mindset shifts is rejection is redirection or it's protection.
Sure.
But at those times you have closed mouths will not get fed.
Oh,
So if
100%.
you're standing at the nursing station waiting for someone to grab you, you're gonna be standing there forever. But that's the same thing with opportunity. Like the
Right.
opportunity at Tacoma Connect is so large. The
Mhm.
amount of people that I've seen that I've connected with,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't directly with them, they connected me with someone I needed to be
Right.
connected with, right?
Right.
And you have to know, like, if you have an event, invite people. Oh,
Mhm.
she just doesn't look like she would want to come. No, invite her because she's probably gonna come and she's
Yeah.
probably gonna invite her friends. And then now you're gonna have this future collaboration
Yeah.
or referral or friend or,
It's so good.
thought partner. But you really have to insert yourself, whether it's your event that's coming up, your business,
Yeah.
you never know who is going to connect you with who.
So
And
true.
it's so beautiful because you don't want to miss those opportunities.
Yeah.
So many people will show up in those spaces and get a little nervous and then it'll halt them, but just come back.
Mhm.
Just come back and try
Try it
again.
again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. You have to believe in yourself. If you
100%.
don't believe in yourself, it's a game changer when you're out in and about in the community, even especially in business. I mean, so much is on vibe. If people feel like, "Oh, okay, well,
Right.
she's not ready." And it's not like they're being mean, but they just know you're not ready yet, and they'll just kinda maybe they'll engage with you at another time. So, if you're going to invest of your time, be all the way there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
need to be a bit more intentional and on purpose about presenting.
I think that's huge, like, being intentional,
Mhm.
because you can show up to a whole bunch of places,
Mhm.
I can be present a lot of times in physically, but
Yes.
mindfully,
Mhm.
I'm not always there, but
Yeah.
I wanna show up in places where I have the full capacity,
Yeah.
and it's okay to not have that capacity, especially
Yeah.
when part of our job is talking,
Oh my
is
gosh.
showing up, is being that leader. Because a lot of times,
Yeah.
like, people see us for the titles that we hold
Yeah.
and forget that we're also human.
Yes.
But it's not even them forgetting, it's us forgetting, right? So I'm like, sometimes we really just have to take a step back and, I've had to been honest and, there was a time that I had to be like, "All right, I'm not serving people well. I'm overworking myself. I'm seeing too
Mhm.
many clients, and now my poor last 6th client of the
Right.
day, she's getting the worst part of me.
Right.
She's getting hangry Nisa, she's getting impatient Nisa, she's
I
getting,
love
I'm
it.
ready to be
Yes.
off."
It's so
And so
true.
I would rather show up with
Mhm.
intention, show up with purpose.
Yep.
I could have been better.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have had that conversation better. What was
Mhm.
I looking at them when they were talking? I don't
I
even remember
remember.
what the last conversation was about. So yeah,
Exactly. Oh my gosh,
it's
that's
so
so
real.
good. It is. It's super real. And I don't remember who I was talking to, but they gave a little tip about that's when they go to their car, they will pull out any hard copy cards or maybe their note app, and they will write down the things that they remembered about that person,
Wow, that's amazing.
that they engaged
Yeah.
with, so they didn't lose that. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I need to do that." And I learned that from somebody out in a community. You learn so many people wanna see you win because they
Mhm.
wanna win too, but they also
Right.
wanna see others around them win. And there's a lot of competitive nature stuff too. That's not typically the type of community that I choose to engage with. It's just a choice. I mean, life
It's a
is too
choice
short.
to yeah.
Like, I'm so
I would community over a competition every day. You
Mhm.
get so much further that way.
Yeah.
And when there's competition, I mean, some fun competition
Yes, it's
is it
different.
could be
Yeah.
fun, but like
Yeah.
when you're competing someone with intention, it could get
Mhm.
real messy. And so you would be surprised if you just invite people in for the
Mhm.
people who are feeling more competitive, how much more faster and further you'd go.
It's so
It's
true.
it's like, why do you love Tacoma so much? I'm like, the
The
community out
community
here.
is so
It's
beautiful.
well, in the small
Yeah.
business community, everyone wants everyone to win.
Yes.
And if you don't feel that way, you're just not in the right
You're not in the
community.
right yes, get in the right spaces. Even if you've been going to the same place for a while, try somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, I talked about that a minute ago about how I knew that I was gonna need to be intentional about how I chose my networking because of course, I need to be where I need to be.
Mhm.
That's a given.
Mhm.
But also being other places, I just need to be careful because I know I will sit there. If I'm making friends and my goal is to see you win, which it is always is to see you win,
Mhm.
then my discipline for myself has to increase. And that this is just a
Wow,
personal
that's
thing
good. Yeah.
because my personal go-to, one of my client as far as the dynamic pause,
Mhm.
uh, one of my ideal client personas is this person who I call a productivity perfectionist, meaning that I'm gonna stay busy. I'm always moving and it's good things. It's not even like it's bad things. So then it makes it a little bit more easily for me to hide
Mhm.
behind those things and not step into some of those moments like you described earlier, those bold moments that you just take and challenge yourself and say, I don't see the answer on the side of this, but I know this is the right direction, so I'm going, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to hide behind those types of things if you're filling your bucket with servicing someone else,
Yeah.
which of course we're going to do because we're in that kind of industry. That's just what we do. And it flows naturally. But at the same time, it is a hiding spot. And so I have to be
Mhm.
very careful to make sure I have those mirror moments with myself
That's
to say, okay, Angie, this is so awesome. You get to look back and see all of these things that you've done to affect change in other people's lives and whether they know it or not, because sometimes they don't realize it.
right.
And because our
That's
gut,
so real.
our gut
Yes.
purpose is
Yeah.
to help others. So
Right.
everything we do attaches to that.
Yeah.
So where's the defining piece that we know that we're doing in this season of our life
Mm.
because this is what we should be doing in this season of our life. And it's a should be that we choose, right?
Yeah.
But if we don't slow down and give ourselves those moments to pause
Mm.
and have these clarity moments, then we don't know. And we could live our whole life that way.
Those pause moments are definitely so important, and I
Mhm.
love the way that you describe those reflective moments because 'cause they're so important. Sometimes we're just a hamster in a wheel. We're
Yes.
just trying to move, but there's so much difference in progress versus motion,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes we're moving, but we're not making progress, and
Right.
we need to have those pause moments to reflect because every season is going to be different, and the best way I've described this is, sometimes when we're riding a bike for the road
Yeah.
for our in our street.
Sure.
And then when it's time to feel elevated, now we're going into the main roads and you need to use different wheels. And
Yes.
then okay, now it's time for the next challenge. It's time to go on the mountain. You
Okay.
cannot use those same wheels.
No.
It's time to retire those wheels. And although you could still get up the mountain, I'm sure,
Sure.
it's going to be a lot harder, right?
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
everything needs to shift, but you have to put yourself in a place to reflect and pause. So there's been a lot of moments where I was just moving and I'd
Mhm.
burn out because and then I'd be like, what happened? And I'm so stubborn sometimes because I'm like, it's worked. It's worked in the last season, but
Yes.
just because it worked in the last season doesn't mean it's worked in this season.
So
The
true.
biggest thing of that all is social media. Nothing is ever the
Oh my
same.
gosh,
Keeping
it's
up with
so frustrating. I know, just when you
yes.
think you've figured
Hmm.
something out, and I've not come close
Right.
to figuring things out, but I've watched a lot of people who will get it dialed in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then something will change,
Yeah,
and
first it's
then it's just like,
hashtags, then it's keywords,
"Oh
and
my god."
it's just like this whole thing. But
Mhm.
business itself is one of those things you have to constantly evolve with. And even, I think the biggest imposter syndrome I had in instructing was being one of the youngest. And like I was
Oh,
the one of the youngest in the class, but I was instructing.
yeah.
I'm like, who am I to
Oh my
instruct
gosh,
people
and you did
that
such a
are
wonderful
thank
job.
you.
Yes, you
That
fought
was
through it well, and I think you were pretty vulnerable with us about some of that, and I found that made me look up to you even more
Thank you.
because of that vulnerability, but at the end of the day, what you had to offer was real,
Mm.
and, what you were sharing with us was a real lived experience.
Right.
Uh
That's yes, that's what I always try to highlight is being real and raw because the
mhm.
people that I've looked up to, those moments that they got to share those raw moments, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, so I'm not crazy.
Right.
I'm not
I
I'm
know,
not alone in this."
and there's
And
nothing wrong with polished, right? But at the
right.
same time, when you're trying to achieve something,
Mm,
you don't mind the polished, but you wanna know how you got there.
right.
And for some people, I guess there are some of people out there who had the joy of being polished, and that's what it always was. I haven't met you yet. If you wanna come be on the show, let me know. But most of the time, there's something else, but when we're pursuing,
Mm,
when we're in a moment of pursuit, our eyes see something and like, "Oh my gosh, I love the way that they carry themselves with
mm,
this thing," or "I love the way, oh my gosh, they're doing so good." You get on your social
that's
media that
them.
you've learned and you've learned the craft of, and also you're an artist. People have to take that. I mean, if you're an artist, your art is going to be in all the things you touch. It's not just on the thing that you drew or
Right.
tatted, right?
Right.
So there's that piece. But not everybody puts those dots together either, right? So you're an artist. There's some people that do this thing, never were an artist, and don't have a clue. When they create a flyer, it's going to look different than when you create a flyer, right? And so, but if they compare that to yours, then they're going to be like, what? I can't do that. Da, da, da. Which you might not be able to, but guess what you can do? You can reach out and to find a resource that does
Right.
know how to do that. Hey, I know you're busy, Lenisa, but do you know anyone else who does that you would even recommend as a marketing person that
Yeah.
I can connect to? Because I'm just not good at this type of thing. It's just like not shutting yourself down just because you don't have it. And I think both you and Jermaine did a great job of sharing your stories with us that helped us kind of be able to fill some gaps, the gap of here's where we are and what we want to do. Here's where you guys are right now. And you're able to share how you got to that point. But
Mhm.
what you both did very well is also express how much of an ongoing journey it was still for you guys. Neither one of you guys presented it to us as if you've arrived and be
Right.
like me, kinda
No,
you
100%.
know, so
Yes.
so there's
Yes.
something about that as well. So I know you probably show up, I hope you show up in space a little bit more confident. I
Yes.
felt like you were confident,
100%.
but I could tell the days that you were struggling. I was struggling. You and I have a personal story of that
Yeah.
will belong in my never do that again.
Yes.
Y'all, y'all. This is not her first time on the show, but you didn't get to see the first
It's
time because Angie
okay.
forgot to hit record. What? What? Okay, anyway, but but those moments though, we do learn together and we do journey together. And
Yeah.
I tell people about that on purpose, about my journey in that, because people will tell
Yeah.
me like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool you have." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it is actually pretty cool. I feel so proud of myself for what I'm
Yes.
doing and all that." I said, "But everything's a learning process, and there's things that I've learned along the way." Well, your story gets to be one of the ones I learned along the way.
Mhm.
Like when I literally, it was it's funny now. I wasn't laughing that day. When I hit the button and we said goodbye to each other, because it was virtual last time, and I was just like, the little mechanism didn't start going like this. And I was like, I said, no, no, no. I'm in here. I'm like, no, no. And I'm pushing, but like, no,
it was such a great conversation. But when you said that and you messaged me, I could hear your voice. You're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, girl, I'm okay to be in your room
literally
again.
was in here crying. And then here's more vulnerability. And I think I don't know if I told you this, but I literally was sitting here going, I'll just wait. I'm not telling her. I'm not telling her. It's like, you're going to tell your teacher you did that. And I was like, I'm just not going to tell her. I'm just going to wait. I'll think of something. And then 2 seconds later, I did. That's just my personality. Like, I'm not good at that. I'm going to tell myself, like,
Yeah.
in a hurry. But yeah, just wanted to puke. Anyways, I appreciate your graciousness and that you're here, because it really did teach me a lesson, though, of like all the things, like even when you're doing it by yourself,
Right.
have your checklist of all the things that you do before you're doing this, so that you don't, because if it was
I love me a
somebody
good
that I
checklist.
had, yes.
Yes.
These checklists, I talk about
You gotta
them and
have
I
them.
give them a hard time, but because that's something that we kind of hide behind still sometimes, but they are good for you and they're good for your people. Your team will appreciate you if you have a good
Yes.
checklist, a
So
good
good. Yep.
SOP, a good, something
Right.
that really kind of holds structure and makes sure things happen the way that they should be. But sometimes we just go through some humbling things
We are
that
part
remind
human.
you that
We are
you are
still part
human.
human. Yeah.
So starting your business, or getting your entrepreneur journey started in COVID, that wasn't just a blip. That was something that stayed with us for a while. And so you brought with you some of your ability to kind of deal with shakeups and things like that when times are hard. Like you said, you love a good challenge.
Yeah.
But as you've been growing your team and engaging with them, I have a workshop that I call How to Thrive Through the Shakeup. And one of the things I talk about in there is how sometimes as leaders we can get stuck in the certainty trap,
Mm,
meaning that we feel like we got to have all the answers,
right.
right?
Same.
So there's a pressure to appear decisive while internally we're grappling just like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
When you were making this decision to do all that you're doing, did you feel pressure to project confidence you didn't really have? And who are you performing that certainty for?
That's a good question. Definitely at the beginning. I like I said, I feel like I've always had this expectation of myself. I've been around leaders who have done both,
Okay.
who have had their stuff together
Sure.
and showed up that way, and then people who haven't and they still showed up like they did.
Gotcha.
And I just knew at the beginning, it's kind of hard because you're learning yourself as
Yeah.
this new role. Like I
Yeah.
was first just a worker, and then I
Mm-hmm.
was a business owner, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm a leader now," and now people are looking up to me. And I knew as a leader that I would set the pace
Okay.
and the example that I would want to follow, right?
Okay.
Clearly discuss what expectations are that I have of someone, and
Mhm.
then of what they should have of me.
Yeah.
And anything past that is going to be learning, or it's going to be later discussed, right?
Yeah.
But there was many days I would try to show that I'm like, I have my stuff together because
Yeah.
you guys are looking up to me, especially as an older sibling. Like
Yeah.
that was really hard. I'm like, I always have my stuff together, so you could do it too. But at the end of the day, the real and raw is what makes any collaborated space even more powerful. So let's talk about the real and raw.
Yeah.
Maybe, especially in this last season, we were signed up to be in this new space, and I
Okay.
told everyone, and we were going to be moving,
Uh-huh.
and we had the deposit down. We were supposed to move in June.
Okay.
It's December. Why are we not moved in?
Oh,
So the first few months, I was like, everything's fine, everything's fine. And then it just wasn't.
okay.
And, I had some new people come and join the team, and
Okay.
then it didn't work out, so they left.
Mm.
And I just had to own it. I just had to own it. At
Yeah.
this point, I was honest with them. I was like, look, I'm going to keep you guys updated as much as I'm updated.
Sure.
And that's just the realness of this. And I
Okay.
want you to know, like, at the end of the day, because I shared that, I want them to know that this can happen in
Yes,
business.
it can
And
happen.
now I want to do the series eventually. I mean, it's already been a couple months since we moved into our new space, but I want to do the series how it costs so much, not just money. Like we definitely lost a
Mhm.
lot of money going into
Mm.
this new space, but it also brought us into the space we were meant to be. So we were going to move into this old space, and it brought us into this new space. Shout out to Reed. He was the one who
Right.
helped connect me and my new
The
landlord
new
now.
okay.
But there's just so much more power in being real and raw with your team
Yes.
and sharing those, because now you're creating a space for them to also share when things get hard. And
Yes.
one thing that I really wanted with Level Up Studio is to create a safe space for people to, one, feel invited, our clients that were coming in,
Mhm.
but also if I was going to grow a team, I wanted to, for a long time, I just wanted to build this family.
Yeah.
But with business, it can be family oriented, but it also has to be, when it comes to professionalism, we have to make sure that we're standing strong.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hard moments. Let's
Yes.
talk about what we're struggling with,
Yes.
because again, remember, community is so important. So if you're struggling with something, let's talk about it. And I've
Mhm.
sat down with each of the members on my team, and I'm like, okay, what are some highlights, lowlights, areas of improvement?
Yeah.
And let's tackle those right now.
Yeah.
What's your goals for the next season? We don't have to look so far ahead. 5
Yeah.
years, a lot of things can change in 5 years. But
100%.
let's
Yeah.
talk about what you're wanting to do this next season. And it's okay that you're going through these hard moments, because you're
Yeah.
not alone.
That's right.
Like, I have social media withdrawal so much, and getting back into that is so hard, and that's just something that we all have to go through. So
Sure.
I have to talk about it. I have to show them the realness, because now they know, like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one feeling this
Feeling
way.
that.
And
Yeah.
especially when we talk as a group, because I do love my one-on-ones, but when we talk as a group, we get to also share that space together. Like,
Mhm.
okay, what are the strengths that each of us have, and how can we help each other? How can we
Yeah.
collaborate? How can we grow
That's
together?
so good.
And so that's what I think is really important in having in that space.
Mhm.
And
I think that's cool because as you, cultivate your culture that way,
mm,
it is so much easier, in my opinion, to hire or see who else you're bringing into the space.
yeah,
And if everyone who's already in the space really upholds those, value systems that you're sharing and that you're projecting and that you're expecting,
yeah,
um, then it's easier for newer people to catch on to what needs to happen. Even if that's not their nature,
right.
they will adjust if they want to still be around that. So, even with that kind of vibe, a lot of people don't speak very openly. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that are very passive aggressive
Okay.
by nature or
Right,
defensive by nature, or,
right.
so it's kind of hard to have just really open and direct conversations because they're used to it being attached to their personhood instead of
Yes,
it being like,
yes,
this is about the thing, but then we're here. But then how I bring this to you is going to have my imprint on it, probably. But here's a standard that we are all agreeing that we will live by. So,
yeah,
for example, if someone says that maybe they're a little bit more abrupt in how they respond to people or whatever, right?
mhm,
But the culture is saying like, hey, we read the room first. So
yes,
regardless if that person, if they can say like, that's just me, but yeah, that probably is just you, but the culture says we read the room first before
yes,
we engage,
yes,
right? And so if everyone is living that out in that value system, when you have someone who's not doing that, it kind of just stands out a little bit more. And I think a quicker decision comes in play for
yeah,
both the leader and that person, because a lot of times the leader will give you a chance to kind of course correct. But
right.
a lot of times that kind of personality difference, that person will choose to go somewhere else. Not because they don't like people, it's just it doesn't work.
And that's okay. Like, I've had to move out of spaces that don't fit me, that don't
Hmm.
align, and I do believe in an alignment.
Yes.
And I do believe that you can only be your best self when you're around things that help you be your best self.
Sure.
And the challenge of that too is, we have to have hard conversations with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's so silly, but even as leaders, we have to talk about things that feel silly, because common sense isn't commonly practiced,
A
right?
Yeah,
And
I
so
almost want people to stop using it. I guess it's common. Like
what's common
we
sense,
might
right?
say common
Yeah.
sense about certain things that we know we agree on from
Yeah.
a leadership perspective, but you cannot just say that in every room or
Yeah.
expect it.
100%.
Okay.
And that's what again where I love education, but
Mhm.
it could be challenging mentally because I especially the more people I had on my team, the more languages I had to learn. I'm
Oh,
like, okay, is she hungry? Does she need a does she need a break? Is it that time of the month? But
right.
those are real questions. Like you
Yes.
have to
Right.
constantly meet people where they're
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
And I loved learning new languages, but it also came with really hard
Oh,
conversations.
for sure.
And I always open the space too. I'm like, hey, if you feel like I need to do something differently, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep operating how I've been operating,
Mhm.
right? I want to open the space for correction,
Yeah.
but I can't correct myself if you don't allow that space for me to do so.
Yeah.
Right. So like please come to me. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid. I want to get better. I want to be a better leader. And I feel like I'm being the best leader because that's what I'm using what I already know.
Mhm.
And so again, I would have simple conversations like, okay, guys, I know we're doing really early events, but let's meet even earlier because
Okay.
if we're not making time to eat before the event, now we have to eat. So there's no hangry because I know how it is to
Because
be
you already
hangry.
know. Exactly.
Yeah, I know how it is to be hangry, but sometimes
100%.
we have
Yeah.
to be in a space to be told.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, you guys make sure to eat, but not everybody makes or has time to eat before
Yeah.
something, right? And so it's like it's just simple things. Like, okay, if you're feeling overstimulated, sometimes we feel overstimulated, we don't know it,
Yeah.
but it's just like, hey, let's put a word on it and then it makes it real. And if you're
Yeah.
feeling that, take a little
Yeah.
break. And that's okay. That's okay.
Doing a training for conflict management in the
Mm,
workplace. And that was one of the things is like recognizing your physical, the things that are physically happening in your body before you engage in conflict, before you step into a difficult conversation or before,
yeah.
a challenging thing. And one of them was, hey, have I eaten? Am I hungry? What did I sleep last night?
Nice.
Asking yourself these things because that hangry thing is a real thing and it's been I
So real.
wish we knew about it before and I use for an example in the training like the whole Betty White thing. Go get your Snickers, man, if that's what it get the candy bar if that's what you
Right.
have to do before you engage with someone, like, especially if you feel things happening in your body, if you feel that stuff rising up, you feel that adrenaline rushing, because sometimes we do that fight or flight, there's levels of that. And so it's not always to save your life. Sometimes it's to position yourself because you feel like someone's coming at you. So
Yeah.
then you will set yourself ready for this thing
Yes.
that's about to happen. And so learning our bodies even enough to know why am I hype? Like I'm
I love that you said that too, because a lot of times I think as a team, we have to be reminded like we're not against each other, we're
right.
for each other,
Yeah.
right? So in these moments that feel like we're attacking,
Mhm.
maybe you feeling like you're getting attacked, it's actually we're trying to challenge each other,
Yeah.
right? And then also like the problem isn't always the problem you feel like it is. You're like, oh,
That
there's
part.
too much, like
Yeah.
too much going on. I'm like, is it, or is it maybe you're hungry,
Right.
or like so it's really getting to the core of it, peeling back those
Mhm.
layers. I need that,
Bring side in because that
right?
happens too.
100%.
If we're going through a difficult season outside of the workplace, I mean, I think we can be better at that, but a lot of us bring that with
Yeah.
us. And so
Right.
we're taking it out on people that, we have this agreed upon way that we say we're going to treat one another. So you
Yeah.
already know you're walking into a braver, safer space, however you want to say it.
Mhm.
Psychological safety is a real thing. So
Yeah.
if we've created a space where there's psychological safety to engage in
That's
hard
good.
conversations and to have bad days or whatever, then let's not come at each other and because we know that this is a safer place. Because I don't think people sit back and say, I'm walking into my safe space and I'm going to let them have it. I don't think people do that, but I
Right.
do feel like it's okay and that we need to understand ourselves better.
Mhm.
Maybe you sit in the car for 2 more seconds before you come
Yes.
in and say, hey, it's none of their faults. What I'm dealing with today is not their fault. Don't be taking it out on my crew today. Tell yourself something, before you go inside, right?
Right. That's why it's really important also not to take things personal. Like I mean, there's definitely areas of my day that I'm like, "Oh, my feelings are hurt," or something,
Yes, it
but
can happen. Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's like 99% of the time, it's not about you at all,
Yeah.
right? So, but and that's the part that's also a reminder to make sure that you are checking in
Mhm.
because everyone you're around is also human and they are going through things. And
Going through
if you
stuff.
even a simple like, "How are you really doing?"
Yeah.
versus, "Are you doing okay?" "Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool." But when you're really checking in with people, one that allows them to feel more safe to be like, "I'm actually not,"
Yeah.
and allows you to understand because
Sure.
sometimes people just get upset and then there's no room for understanding and now there's this disconnect,
Oh, yeah.
right? So I definitely think it's really important to have that, yes, there's professionalism in the workspace, but it's okay to also talk about
We can
life,
see one another,
Yes,
right?
feel
And
seen and heard.
yeah, see one another. I think as a leader, and especially as a business owner,
Mhm.
you get so much more in return for doing that than you
Yeah.
don't. The idea that we can see people and have hard conversations.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like even in the conflict management, when you're having to tackle a tough topic, traditional method will be yelling or losing their issue, coming for people personally, all the things. We all have our stories, but when you're already saying something difficult, you don't even need to do that
Mm,
because the thing you're talking about is already hard.
right,
It's already going to pinch.
right.
Now, that's another part of conflict management, though, right? Is explaining the risk, explaining the loss, explaining the impact
Yes.
of the action. Because sometimes people don't realize what that thing that you think was just this little thing actually is going to cost this much, and we may not see this customer again,
Yes.
whatever it is. And the reputation that floats out there from this one interaction because you didn't eat before you came in here.
I think all in all to say it's all about accountability,
Yeah.
and that's hard because you really have to put your pride aside when you take
Yeah.
accountability, right? And that's where I love to step in, and I mean, love is like, I don't love to be wrong.
You know the
Like,
value.
when
Yeah.
you, say that, I'll be better next time,
Mhm.
it shows that you wanna grow, and
Yeah.
so, again, I like how you were saying that too, because sometimes when I'm talking about things, it's like they're focusing on one thing,
Yes.
and then but it's not even about that,
No.
right? It was about this whole bigger picture.
Yeah.
But that's again, like, that's where conversation like, let's talk about it again, are you
Yeah.
still feeling, like, stung by this, and if so, why, and how can we
Uh-huh.
get through it?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely accountability is, like, a huge one, but I've been around people who what is that, And so I love to be in the spaces where I'm like, "Okay, let's highlights, lowlights, areas of improvement. What are we
Yes.
doing? What can we work on?"
Yeah.
Um, and let's be accountable for our actions. And
Yeah.
it's okay to be like not wrong, but like in an area of improvement,
Yeah.
that we're all in a space of
I
learning.
hope we find areas I think that's the thing
Yeah.
that people don't learn. They feel like if something's wrong, if they don't know something or if they got something wrong, that's where some of that, what do you call it? Focusing in on finding out one thing,
Yeah.
that's where that comes from. It comes
Yeah.
from this idea of being so uncomfortable sitting in a place where you really actually just did something wrong and we've got to correct it and this is how we're going to correct it. And you're a communicator for sure. And so I know you provide expectation of what the correction looks like, meaning like, hey, we're all learning this thing. I just next time this situation comes up, this is what I would like you to
Find
choose
the
to
problem
do.
and
Yeah.
problem solve. Yeah.
Exactly. And which most people who do that thing where they kinda just drill down and this is the issue, and even though the real issue is way over here, um, they sometimes don't do it with just one. Sometimes they will, "This is my time to kinda say everything that I've been thinking since the beginning of time."
Yeah. Yeah.
You you know what I mean? I think for leaders our best combatant against that is the everyday culture we're building because
Yeah.
then when something like that happens they see us acting exactly how we I said I was going to act and exactly how I act every other day, but this time we're just dealing with a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
it's still me, but we're just dealing with we're dealing with a situation that's a moment to learn something, and, it's okay, and it may not feel good, and that's okay too.
Right. I
I think
think
people don't get used to that
yeah.
feeling.
I think the biggest lesson in this last season specifically is just because you create a safe space doesn't mean that space is always safe for you.
Oh
And
god.
that is okay.
Yeah.
And for
You
me,
have to have your own safe space that
right.
you go to kind of.
Not everyone's ready to receive something
Mhm.
or and it's not about receiving it. Maybe like how we were talking about alignment. Maybe
Yeah.
just and that's okay too. There's no
That's so
person when
good.
it comes to business, I'm like there's nothing personal here. It's
Yes.
just let's talk about it, let's be real about it. Does it make sense? And if not, let's move forward.
Yeah.
When we are pushed or forced into other spaces, a lot of times it's actually better. It was meant
Yeah.
to be that way.
Yeah.
And there's a piece of acceptance with that I'm just like, it's a celebration.
Right.
What was supposed to break me actually built me. And
Yes.
so
I love that.
yeah, that's
That's
why
so
I love
good.
that. I love leaning into the hard is definitely
Yeah. And you talked about this topic a little bit earlier, but considering that whole concept of energy management versus um time management, how do you manage your energy across your competing demands?
I definitely think it all starts with the core of me, right? So like really making sure that my cup is full because there's this saying is you want to share from your saucer and not your cup.
Okay.
And if I share from my cup, which I do,
Mhm.
because I love loving
Yeah.
people, I love
Yeah.
caring for people, and sometimes when I share from my cup, I have to also make sure I'm around people who are willing to share into my cup,
Yes.
and to
Yes.
refill that
Yes.
space
That's
that
so
I
good.
lack. Definitely okay, I've been overworking and I love what I do, but there's still a possibility of burnout. No
Mm.
matter how much I love what I do,
Mhm.
I could
Mhm.
still burn out,
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing to serve me?
Ooh, that's
How
good.
much time have I come home and I'm still on my phone because I'm working and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I need to make time for my husband. I need to
Yes.
make time for my dogs. I need to clean my house. Like all of those things matter to me.
Mhm.
And so if I'm not doing those things, I can't come fully to myself for
That's
business
so
days.
good.
How you do anything is how you do everything. You want to make
Mhm.
sure that you are taking care of yourself
Yeah.
before you can pour out into all the other things. So it
Yes.
is important the same way I can slide a client in last minute, I could slide that self-care in,
That's so good. I love the way you said that.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
That's so good.
Mhm.
We need to word it the way that you said it. Those things are super important to you. So you have to make time for those just like you would that client that you're making time for,
Right.
that you're squeezing in. And I think for maybe you're watching this right now and maybe you're living in a world that I want to get to where you're bringing someone else in and clean your house. So that maybe is not the thing you're making time for, but you're making time for something else. Make time for the thing. If you don't
Right.
have the thing, create the thing.
Yes, so
That's
good.
for you, right?
So good.
And just to repeat another thing you said, Lenisa, is that serving other people from your saucer instead of your cup, the mind picture she's giving there is her cup is overflowing. That makes sure she
So
keeps
good.
her cup overflowing, because if her cup is not being overflowed, that's her being poured into, then there's not going to be anything on the saucer.
Right.
And if there's nothing on the saucer, that means she doesn't have anything to give.
Yes.
And not because you can look at her cup and say, "But I see it. It's right
Yeah.
there." No, the cup is for her, the saucer is for others. And
So
so
good. Yes.
therefore, prioritize bringing things into your life that's filling your cup
Right.
so that you can keep
Yes.
having that saucer overflow, because
Okay.
a lot can be done from that.
100%.
It's beautiful.
So much.
And that brings me to this next question, which we're talking about healthy boundaries. Um,
Yes.
so, what's a healthy boundary that you had to set either for yourself or with others to sustain your business growth without burning out? And did you feel guilty about setting the boundary?
The first thing that popped up in my head was texting people back.
Okay.
Because when I'm at work, let's say I'm coaching, I'm talking face to
Yeah,
face. I don't want to be on my phone.
exactly.
When I'm tattooing, my face is down. I'm
Yes,
locked in on this piece that I'm
exactly.
working on. If, I'm doing admin work, I want to get through it, so I'm not on my phone.
Right.
And so the last thing that I have to do is respond to DMs or texting, and it's so real when I say give me 3 to 5 business weeks to text back because When I get home,
Oh
I
my
just wanna
gosh.
be in my space, you
Yeah.
know? And it's easy for me to be like, "Oh, I'll text them back when I get back to work." Well, when I'm back to work, my head's back down, you know? And so it just like how I prioritize other things, it's prioritizing that. So the boundary with that was when I'm home, I wanna be home.
Yeah.
And that was hard because I sometimes I fall behind, but
Yes.
that's also where, you know, it wasn't time that was the problem, it was I'm putting too much on my plate. That's
Yeah.
where I hired an assistant to
Yes.
help with some other
Yes.
tasks that I could work on, but
Mhm.
that was definitely a boundary was when I'm home, I wanna be intentional on being
Yeah.
home. I wanna be present,
I
you
love
know?
it.
We were talking about earlier about I could physically be somewhere, but emotionally and
Mhm.
mentally, that was me for a long time,
Yeah.
and my husband had to sit me down, he's like, "Hey, can you get off your phone?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." You don't you're when you're on your phone, you don't even realize you're on your phone,
Right.
especially when you're doom scrolling.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And
I
when
could
you
get
need
lost
your
in it.
phone for your stuff, like you're still
Yeah.
like until you hire somebody to do it for you, you're your own marketing person. You're your
Everything.
you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
like you just said, people are reaching out to you there. So having that assistant, adding people on, that's something we talked about in the accelerators. Like as soon as you are able to add people on in
Yeah.
some capacity, do it. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
it,
Just so that
please.
you can keep making room for the very thing that you're passionate about. And also have more of a whole life, a
Yeah.
fuller life that's a little bit more whole, that includes more than your
Right.
pursuit. I think that when we're first starting out, we're so passionate about what we're doing. We're okay that that's all that there's room for
Mm.
in that moment. But you can't survive. It's too finicky. You can't
Yeah.
survive off of only that.
Yeah.
It's just not good. And how you show up for the people who care about you, it's just different. And it's so easy. It's so easy to do. I mean, it's just easy.
I know a lot of people are scared to hire, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, what are you scared about it?" "Well, I don't want someone, someone else would be representing my business."
Oh,
And I'm like,
sure.
"Well, you get the power to set the pace, set the
Yeah.
temperature, set the tone, and how they show up." And that's why we talk about expectations
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
because you can't get mad at someone if they did something out of never discussing of what that problem was,
It's so
right?
true.
And people are always like, "Well, it's free when I do it." And I'm like, "Is it? Because how much do you
No,
wanna make an hour again?
it
What's
is
your
not
goal?"
free. I'm sorry because if you're not, oh my gosh, if you're a service provider of any kind,
Yeah,
and that part frustrates me sometimes because I
yeah.
know that when I'm sitting in here doing some of the things I'm doing, I'm like, OMG. But at the same time, like it helps me to understand. I've been talking about being a historian of your own life, right? Be a historian of your own life and really slow your roll enough to actually document or at least mentally document what you're doing, how you're experiencing this journey, because
Mhm.
when you do start to bring people on, you'll have much more appreciation for what they're attempting to do because you will know what it took to actually do it. What
Right,
Because you did it. You know what I'm
right.
saying? But if you're going 500 miles an hour and like I explained earlier, like we do, we're on that wheel, and some of us are at the point where because we've had to do it for so long, we've developed more of an ability. So we can fool ourselves even more because we can go maybe a
Right.
little bit further than somebody else can, still getting things right before we hit the thing where it gets messy and muddy and all of that. So you don't have to learn our lesson. Yeah, just document, be a historian,
Yeah.
write that stuff down, put it in
Yes.
voice memos, whatever it is, so that when you're ready to start bringing somebody on, you can pull from those experiences and don't have to wait until then. When you're building your SOPs or
Yes.
whatever, you have more a memory of it that is on the top of your consciousness because we move so fast sometimes. I think I used this example the other day where you're doing something so much and so often, like you don't remember what that person looked like, or you
Yeah.
got home and you don't remember driving through those last two stoplights
Yeah.
because you've done it so many times that your
Yeah.
brain goes on autopilot.
Yeah.
Well, if you just, it doesn't mean you have to stop, but if you just slow a bit, just a slow, that's what I mean by dynamic pauses, means that you're pausing for movement, you're pausing for intentionality, you're pausing for clarity and alignment, you won't know if you're aligned or not
Right.
if you don't slow your roll a little bit every once in a while.
And I do want to say something with that too, because I do believe when God blesses us with a vision,
Mhm.
maybe we're not in a season to receive it right then and there yet,
Yeah,
but He's putting us in a season of preparation.
that's so good.
He's not giving the vision to do it maybe right now, but He's
Mhm.
putting us in a position to prepare for that
Yes,
blessing.
I love
Right.
that.
And then we wonder, well, why can't I have it right now? Well, how are you prepared? You want to hire someone? Well, what do you have prepared for them?
That part.
Write it down. Start writing everything that, and you think some of the most silly things, turn the lights on. Like
Mhm.
that's so, like, but you have to put it down. You have to
Yes.
put every single thing down to prepare for that next season. Because
Yeah.
when you are prepared, you'll see that you're now ready to receive the blessing of having someone else on the team. And
Mhm.
that's so beautiful because not only are you saving money,
Yeah.
because yes, you're spending money, but you got to spend money to make money
You
sometimes,
have to spend it to
and you're giving opportunity for other people. You're now becoming and stepping into this beautiful leadership role.
Yeah.
And there's probably someone already out there watching you, waiting for you to have a space for them.
It's so
And people
true.
wanna be around people. Like, a lot of times, "Oh, yeah, maybe someone wants to be around me because they want a tattoo," but a lot of times they see us and they love the chaotic energy that my team has. They're like, "I
Yes.
love the team dynamic you have." I'm like, "Oh, wait,
Yes.
well, wait till you get here because it's crazy." But it's fun. Like, we have so
Yes.
much fun, and everything we post is what you're actually experiencing. Like,
I
it's not a
love that.
highlight, like,
I
it's
love
real
that.
stuff, but yeah, so again, just really, whatever it is, I had the vision of getting a storefront back in, I think it was 2021.
Okay.
And in my head, I was like, I have maybe $1,000 in my savings right
Right,
now.
right,
Like,
right,
I'm
right,
like,
right.
we ain't gonna get there for a while. Eh, The vision was there, and I had a mentor at the time, and the preparation was I could afford $10 a week. That's a Starbucks.
Yes.
$10 a week.
Yep.
And it wasn't just about saving the money, it was the habit I was creating. So that
That's
$10
so
eventually
good.
turned into $25, and then I was making more money, and the $25 turned into $100.
I love it.
And the $100 it kept increasing as I was increasing, and by the time I was ready to do the storefront, I didn't have to go to my checking because everything was already prepared
That's
from
so beautiful.
2021.
Wow.
So that's why I always tell people, I'm like, it could be $5 right now. It could be
Mhm.
$10. Do what you can. And it's not about the money. It's about the habit that you're
Oh, that's
creating,
so
you know?
beautiful. And that leads right into what I was going to ask you next. So I've seen and learned that there are oftentimes hidden opportunities in disruption or chaos or craziness. But how you started your business is a perfect example of that because COVID was chaos. It
Yeah.
was crazy. Okay. So, what opportunity have you identified? What's something that floated to the top for you in the midst of some of the craziness that made you realize that you could build something bigger? I know you said that the Lord gave you that vision. Was there something that let you know that it was possible?
Whatever life has thrown at me, even at a very young age, I knew that I had the hunger to rise above that.
Mm,
And I knew that, God saved me from this season of my life.
yeah.
Ain't no way he's gonna,
Okay.
he's gonna put me in the back burner in this season. He is always there, tried and true, always faithful. And
Wow.
so even in any storm that I would go, I've had crazy things happen in my life,
Mhm.
and nothing has ever stopped my hunger. And
Wow.
there's when you're hungry, it's hard,
Yeah.
right? That means it's hard because you want to get out of whatever you're in. But the hunger is what is going to help build you. And it's
That's so
okay to be
good.
hungry. You got to stay hungry, but you got to
Mhm.
stay hungry in a healthy way, right?
I was gonna say, expand on that for us. Yes, 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 yes.
Because I just knew that even though everything was chaotic between COVID and
Mhm.
transitioning from jobs and trying to figure out who I was, because in your early 20s you're like, what's my purpose? I mean, I'm almost 32 now, and I'm like, there's days that I sit and people can look at me from the outside and be like, "Oh, she has her stuff together." But I'm over here like, I don't know what my purpose is today. Like I feel it's
Yeah.
nothing ever changes. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what people are constantly seeking, is like, when I'm older or when I have this, nothing ever changes. You just learn how
Wow.
to manage it better,
That's so
right?
good.
And so through the chaos, I knew that I would rise on top. And so now when things get hard, I know there's an answer.
Yes.
My first
Yes.
my first major in at UW was math.
Really?
there's always an answer. There's
Okay.
always an answer
You
to the
go, girl.
equation. So now I know, like, there's always an answer, and I might not be sitting in it in this very moment, but I know it's gonna come.
That's so
And
inspiring. That's
yes.
encouraging. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm that's what keeps me hungry is constantly stepping out of the box. There is no normal. And there was a time
Yeah.
I had $1,000 in my savings and I was
Mhm.
like, my goal is 10,000.
Yes.
But and then it was 10,000 and then I'm like, okay, I want my revenue to hit over 100,000.
Yes.
And I'm like, all these goals,
Yes.
they're realistic,
Yeah.
but you are still the same person. So you have to know when you are growing and things are chaotic, you have to know that the mindset that you're growing with is the
Mm.
most important.
That's so
Because all these
good.
things, these surface level things don't
Yes.
make a difference in who you are as a person.
That's so good.
You get to build that on your own,
Mhm.
and these other things will come in fruition through the fruits of your labor,
Mhm.
right? So it's really building that healthy mindset, that
Yeah.
mental state, mental capacity, that mental health and awareness within yourself, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I don't even remember what your
That's
question
okay. No,
was, but
you answered it because it's like the question was more like, what's the hidden opportunity that you might have found? But that's it. I mean, the idea that you already know because the challenges started coming so early. What you found was you at the center of understanding there's a value because I think it's been with you for so long that I don't think that you understand.
yeah.
A lot of people don't have that automatically. And so that's another gift, honestly, for you to have that. It's another gift because it gives you the ability to express that and show that to other people. This is what it looks like when you actually believe for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to believe in ourselves, but you need to believe for yourself because
Yeah.
what happens is before you get that external community, your internal community, does that person believe that you can do what you're saying you can do?
With that, there's a say. A woman of sayings.
Go
You
for
know, I
it.
got a list of
Yeah.
sayings, but it's a lot of times the main quote was, "I got to see it to believe it."
Oh,
But
right,
you
right.
genuinely have to believe it to see it in this
Yes,
life.
yes.
You have to believe it, and you have to know. I would say it out loud, and some people
Yeah.
are like, "I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to jinx it." I'm like, I don't believe in jinx. I believe in my work, my ethic that I bring every single
Yes,
day. And
yes.
so I would say, I'm gonna have a storefront. And I know I'm over here. I know I'm lying to myself. Like, it's fine. But like at the end of the day, I said it so much and it
Yeah.
literally became real. And I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, I'm going to own like the shop right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to own it after 3 years. Like,
Get
this
it,
is going to
girl.
be, and she's like, I believe you.
Yes.
Everything you said, you've done. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you believe me because I don't know if I believe it. But I'm going to keep saying it until I believe it.
I'm so
So,
late in the game of doing that for myself, but it is definitely, and I have that written down somewhere in my notes from probably about 5, 6 years ago. Believe it to see it. That's in my notes. Like you
yeah,
have to believe it to see it. You're
yes.
not going to see what you want to see until you actually believe first.
That's
And
so
it's
good.
it's not it's again, yes, it's believe in that thing you're pursuing. It's
Mm,
believe in you. Believe in
right.
that you
You're the
you are going
core.
to be the one to do
Yes.
this thing. And I think all of us are, of course, you already said this a few times. We bring different things to the table. We bring different stories.
Right.
We bring different histories. And so with that, some of us maybe don't, from the outside, we look like we already believe all these things because we're moving, we're doing our thing. But on the inside, like we're still not quite there. So yeah,
We're
I
fighting battles. We're fighting silent
100%. So
battles.
it's like this whole I tell people about like when me and my sister were growing up, I was the worst at playing make believe because I just was so like everything had to be logical, make sense, whatever.
Yes.
But my sister always sounded like she was having so much fun. Like she would be in her room just make believing it up with all her little dolls and
Yeah.
all the things. And I remember, I think I was probably like in third or fourth grade. And I remember this one particular time that she was just back there laughing, having a good old time. And I was like, what is she doing? And so I remember like being envious, like, but she's having so much fun. How does she do that? Like, how does
Yeah.
she play make believe and have a good time?
Yeah.
And it's this concept of believing it to see it. And so I thought to myself, I can do that. I'm going to do it. So I remember going in my room, getting out my stuff, and I had picked up dolls and I started having a little conversation like, I want a minute, whatever I was saying. I don't even know.
Mhm.
And I remember I lasted about 3 seconds and I was just like, yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. That is how I have done so many things. So I need to believe it to see it. And so
Yeah.
when you believe it and believe it to see it, there's action steps. Like it's what you mentioned a second ago, like you keep telling yourself. It's a repetitive action.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
right? Like when you get up the next day or maybe a week from now, you're still saying, "Yep, I'm about to own that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna," or I don't know how, but I am going to own that.
You gotta and the whole thing is everyone has the crown on their head already.
I love
It's
that.
into that and owning it,
Yes.
right? And I mean, we were talking about confidence earlier. Confidence is the most beautiful thing. And I
Yeah.
always wonder, like, how do people have all this confidence? And
Right.
I'm like, it's really starts within.
Yeah.
Well, you can't rely on your partner, you can't rely on your
No.
friends, you can't rely on
No.
family. You get to build the tradition and the trajectory of your life
It's so
within yourself.
true.
So how do you get there? A
Yeah.
lot of times I'm like, I don't know. You have
Yeah.
to figure it out though. But that's the beauty of life. Like
It's so true.
so true. And,
Yeah.
this, oh my gosh, this is bringing me to so many different types of conversations.
Mhm.
But I think the biggest one is proximity. Proximity is
Mhm.
so powerful. If I stayed around the same friend group I had in my early 20s,
You
I
wouldn't have never
probably,
done it.
I probably still be doing the same thing,
Yep.
whatever I was doing in my
Yep.
20s.
I agree. Yeah.
And because I stepped out, not on purpose, maybe
Sure.
by just life,
Yeah.
stepping into one person who poured into and I was like, "This girl's crazy." We do all these things. I'm like, "I don't know why she's saying all these things. Like, who does she
Sure.
think I am?" And it was her that helped me
Yeah.
step into a position that I never thought I could.
That's so
And
good.
it just takes one person.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, if you're thinking it, say it out loud.
Mhm.
Like you do not know the power of your words, the
Yeah.
power of what you might think is crazy. Like
Yeah,
if you
and
think
the
some
timing.
yes, the timing.
Mm.
I just needed one person.
Wow.
And so, sometimes I feel crazy talking to my camera and on Instagram or TikTok, but I'm like, if I can help one person, that's
Yeah.
all that is going to be good for me.
That's so good.
It just takes one difference, one person, one chance, one opportunity
Mhm.
for now, like from the class. It
Yeah.
took one person to be like, thank you so much. And I'm like,
Yes.
hold on. I'm meant for
Yes.
this.
I
Like
literally like you yes, and I don't know if it was me, but I feel that like I totally yeah, that relates to me. And again, it's a timing thing too
yeah,
because of, for how it came, when it came, because I could look at you and what you were doing. Um, I saw the investment that you were making into yourself, even for what you were doing for us in that moment. That was an investment into you. So I saw that happening. And then again, like I said, the vulnerability to share your story and to step into something that you felt intimidated by.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
And then just watching you have this experience and watching you. We were together what, 6 weeks?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's, seeing you walk out of that, your shoulders were higher and your chin was up. And not that you ever physically did that, but metaphorically it was like
Yes. No,
you were struggling in that
yes.
way at that time. And I felt like I needed you to understand, like, no, you're doing good. There were some days I just needed to tell you that before I
I
left.
remember
I was
you
like,
telling me, I
you're
was like,
you're doing good. I promise, because it was definitely meaningful. And it's not like everybody's going to have this same experience and they don't have to, but I know that a lot of people did. And people are going to choose their experiences too,
right,
right? Because
100%.
somebody else could be looking at you and what you're presenting and how you're showing up and be like, she's
I
yeah,
already know all
I
this.
yes,
Yeah,
or
I
I've
already
been
know all
doing
this.
this a long time, but at the end of the day, there's always something
Yeah,
to learn. Always.
100%.
Always. Your whether you were standing up there by yourself or Jermaine was up there by himself, the combination of what you guys did together, the day of the week, did we all show up hungry? Did we all, I take with me what you guys were doing with us on that percentage thing. I've used that in small groups. I've used it
Yeah,
and facilitating workshops. I've used it. How are you showing up? How you show up matters. And if
yeah,
you can say that and articulate that percentage of how you feel today, then that one, it makes you think about it because you said it out loud. So now that makes you think about what kind of engagement you're going to really be able to have and actually
100%.
challenge yourself. Like, am I gonna give more today? Because I'm here. I need to receive from this. This is where I really am in my headspace. But what am I going to be able to obtain? even though that is the truth of the situation. Other times it might be like, especially in a group setting, it's like if I've got 100% today and that person's struggling on 50, how can I be of service to them in some sort of
Uh,
way, if it's a small way, to help them out and to
right.
let them know it was worth you coming out of your house or leaving your business to come do this thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not even a whole conversation, it's just an actual eye contact smile.
Yes.
That's enough. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, the smallest things make the biggest difference,
They
truly.
really do. So what kind of well-being practice have you used or do you do regularly, um, at this stage? Or was there a time that you used to do something and then you stopped?
Um, well, I'll say in this season specifically, like what's been self-soothing to me is cleaning.
Okay.
And my husband's probably gonna watch this. He's like, "What are you talking about?" But it's been weird because, like, I feel like I've definitely felt more peace with a cleaner home.
Okay.
And I used to be, like, projected and be like, "Babe, why isn't the house clean?" But now
Mhm.
I'm like, "No, I need to set this place up for
Okay.
success." And when
Okay.
I come home, I'm more at peace because things are
Yeah.
clean, things are in order, and also opening up my Bible, like, just
Yeah.
reading the word,
Yeah.
like, those are things that the amount of times I've put that on the back burner, I it reflects in
Sure.
me, you know?
Sure.
Like, whether it's opening the Bible or cleaning or whatever, things that fill me up, if I put it on the back burner, it reflects. If I haven't ate, it reflects. Like, it's all the same, but the things that help me self-soothe are those things, and a lot of the times those things change. Like,
Yeah.
what helps me self-soothe? Because it used to be working out. Right now, the way my hips are operating,
Ooh. The
okay?
the hips
So,
getting ready.
yeah, it's different in the season. So now I have to be creative and I have to find and honestly, quality time. Like,
Yeah.
the quality time with my friends, the quality time with
Mm.
my family, with my
Mhm.
husband, it means so much more in the season because it just really fills my cup
Yeah.
because time is going so fast. And
Yes.
I'm celebrating this last season of just me and my husband because once this baby comes, like this is the last season of us, so
Yeah.
I'm embracing every moment that
Good
we
for
have together,
you.
and so just quality time has definitely been my self-soothing.
Mhm. I love that.
Mhm.
You talk about helping others break through their limits. What limit did you have to break through in your own mind to make your original leap?
The best way I can say that is what I've loved about helping others is all like how we talked about, it's all lived real experiences, and so the biggest breakthrough that I had was I have to step out of myself.
Oh.
I have to step out of who I think I am and
Okay.
step into who I actually am. Because I feel like a lot of times we are our hardest critics. And, I know I'm really repetitive with
No,
this crown
I
on the
think this
head.
is good. No.
But like it's so true because especially when my friends are hard on themselves, I'm always like, girl, I wish you could see you how I see you.
Yes.
And so a lot of times it was God telling me like, I need you to step out of yourself, stop being so prideful because you are more than what you think you are.
Wow.
And so I had to step out of myself and step into my real identity and what I was called to do. And
Wow.
so, I mean, finding that was a journey in itself too, but I think that was my biggest breakthrough is like there is purpose in what you're doing,
Yeah.
and the confidence, you can show up, but you gotta start showing up confidently.
Yeah.
Because if I showed up in the class and I was like, "Hey, guys," like, you could see the difference in
Yeah.
how people respond when
Oh,
people
100%.
show up confidently. And so, it's also, a respect thing, but if you want people to respect you, you gotta respect yourself.
Yeah.
If you wanna people love you, you gotta love
Love
yourself. And
yourself.
so,
Yeah.
it was really owning that crown, and it was really stepping out of myself to step into my true calling. And
Yeah.
I love this. This is my most favorite version of myself because I'm not trying to confine myself to what I think people think I
Oh
am
my God.
or what I think that I am. I'm stepping into this actual world where I'm like the opportunities are limitless as long as I
Yes.
let it, right?
I love it so much. It's so good. And I love that you are experiencing this now. It's at this stage of your life. None of us are promised tomorrow, whatever. But learning this with the assumption that you will live beyond your years, you know what I'm saying, is so huge. It's a big deal. And if you're learning this or maybe you're hearing about this lesson and maybe you've lived more life like I have, you know what I'm saying? I think I was probably a decade in further than you are right now before I really started stepping into that for myself. You know, like really starting allowing myself to see. And it took some more time before I actually stepped into it. But you know, really just allowing for that and being ready. And I think for those who maybe you're saying it's too late, it's never too late. It's never too late.
No.
Um and that's a concept that you will hear on this podcast a lot because I think that a lot of people will shrug things off and just be like, well, I guess it'll be for someone else because my time has passed. No, you woke up today, you got time to see yourself
Yes.
differently.
Yes, I think Mel Robbins is
Oh yeah.
one of the people that I listen to when I
Hmm.
listen to podcasts, and I think she said she was like 40 something when
See?
she stepped into her calling.
Hmm.
And I'm like, and she is so young and spunk,
Yeah.
and there is no timeline for
Hmm.
anybody,
Yeah.
especially 20 something year olds. They're always like, I just need to know what I'm doing. I'm like, you don't though. You're actually in the most beautiful part of your
You're
life. You
100%.
have so much
Yes.
opportunity. I'm not saying I'm stuck where I'm at, but, like,
No.
this is where I'm at now,
Yeah.
and this is where I'm gonna stay, and this is where I'm
Sure.
gonna grow. But, like, you get to explore, and that's
So much
so much beautiful.
exploration. We
But
miss that
yes.
sometimes
Yeah.
because I think I do really truly believe that part of it is because of the systems that we are born into, some of the
Mm.
systems that are just
Mhm.
already in place that
Right.
kind of tell you from a very young age that you're supposed to already understand what you're going to do, what you're going to be,
Yeah.
how you're going to produce for society, right? More
Yes.
so than
Yes.
who you are.
Yeah.
It's what are you going to do,
Right.
right? And with that, so if you be like a person. I was 18 having a whole full on crisis of life, but I knew at
Yeah.
that point that I didn't know what I wanted to truly
Right.
do from a passion standpoint yet.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know that answer and I was a firstborn and you're supposed to know all the answers and you da 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 da,
Yeah.
I was a hot diggity mess.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I talked to anybody about it. It's just something I carried around with me. And so, yeah, anyways, far too long to get out of that mess. But now it's like I try to catch these kids as young as possible
Yes.
to say like and engage with them if they already know they're passionate, if they feel like they're passionate about something, that's wonderful. Tell me about it. But also to provide a sounding board if you don't know yet.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Right.
Choose something. Like, what do you like? What do you go that
Yes.
road for a little while? Because
Yeah.
guess what? You get to choose and then choose again and then choose again
So much
and
beauty
then
in that.
choose again.
Yes.
So awesome. So awesome. And I did those things, but not from a place of um it wasn't valued. It was more like a place of, "Look at you. Now you're changing to do this. Now"
Yeah.
this is me doing it to myself. No one was doing this to me, but that's how I felt. And now I'm like, "I have done this, and you can't take away that skill set from me. I have learned this. You can't take that away from me." I bring all of these things into my current evolution of myself, and it really has helped me to be able to engage with so many different people because of all these different
I
experiences that
love
I've
that.
had, which I love because I love to talk to y'all. So anyway, as we're wrapping it up, if someone listening wants to work with you or join your team, what kind of person are you looking for? What's the mindset or quality that tells you this person is ready for breaking through limits with you guys?
That's a great question. I actually just hired someone
Okay,
recently,
okay.
and I could tell you through my experience with her and then experience with what through your question as well is someone who's hungry,
Mhm.
someone who's excited.
Yeah.
You can't build excitement in people.
No.
I mean, I'm
Mm-mm.
sure you can to a capacity,
I
but
mean, yeah, it's fleeting.
right.
Yeah.
But when someone's excited, hungry, wanting to learn, those are the qualities that are so important to me and
Yeah.
that are in spaces to grow. And that's very vague thing to say, but like when you're open to hearing how you can improve.
Yes.
And again, going through this repetitive cycle again, but like it's so important to be able to talk about accountability, talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
how we can talk about areas of improvement
Growing
on how we
together.
can
Yeah.
grow and what are your goals. No, not everyone always knows what they want to do. And so I try to talk about more realistic goals. So what's your goal in the next year? And so someone who's excited, hungry, passionate. I think passion is another thing because a lot of people can show up and do work.
Yes.
And as much as I love that, because sometimes I just need someone to do the work, but when there's passion in it, passion is contagious. The fire for desire to have for something that you're doing is
Mhm.
contagious. It's reminding me like, oh, you're right. This is a great blessing to be
I
doing what I'm
love
doing.
this.
So
Yeah.
those are definitely the qualities that I look for in the people I surround myself with,
Yes, I was gonna
right?
say it's tangible sometimes when you walk into those spaces, you
Mm,
can tell it's like that. Like, I remember that when I
right.
first walked into Tacoma Connect, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah.
Yes, there's a vibe.
Yes, and then my last thing, and I might have mentioned this earlier, is proximity is so powerful. So when you're in a vulnerable stage, whether you're growing or you're in a space that you're just building,
Yeah,
those moments, those people, that music, that food, everything that you're surrounded with is either going to build you or break you, and that is
yeah,
up to you
yeah.
with what you're going to do. So the people around you are so important. So
So
yes, when I
good.
am around people, whether it be Tacoma Connect or the people that I'm hiring on my team or the people that I'm just all around surrounded, I want to be intentional and I want to make sure
Good.
that they're also intentional with me. And
Mhm.
so that's just really important.
Tell me something that you're super, super just excited about. I know baby's coming, so
Like
that I'm so excited. I'm excited with her for that one. Is there anything else that you're working on that's really driving you right now?
Yes, our grand opening.
Oh,
So we
good.
moved on March 13th
Okay.
and there's just a couple other projects that
Mhm.
are in process right now. And
Okay.
so our grand opening is going to be amazing.
Awesome.
And, we're going to have just really good energy, a
Yeah.
DJ, food. And my team was like, "Are we going to be tattooing?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no,
No,
no.
this is just to engage with
This
the
is a
people.
celebration. This grand opening is everything that we fought for in the last few years
So
together as
good.
a team. Level Up Studio might be something that I created, but we've built together. And
Yes.
so I'm excited to just be in that space,
Awesome.
to celebrate all the fruits of our labor and with the people that we love and people
Mhm.
that have supported us. That is something I'm really excited and looking forward to. So
Okay.
stay tuned, you guys, because I
Yay!
will be
It's
posting
gonna be
about
so
that.
exciting. I know. So we'll have in the show notes how they can find you online and watch that. I know you'll start beefing it back up and
Yes.
stuff like
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Yeah, we're so excited that
Thank
you were here
you.
today.
Thank you so
It's
much.
so good. I don't ever anticipate not having a conversation with you that I love, whether it is a stand-up conversation that we're just passing each other
Yeah.
or something like this where we get a chance to sit down, which we can do more later. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of The Dynamic Pause with Coach Angie. We'll see you at the next
Thank
iteration.
you.
Okay.
This podcast is brought to you by Ataruka, leadership development that starts with permission to pause. We serve productivity perfectionists drowning in checklists and seasoned leaders who know something needs to change but aren't sure what. Our consulting and coaching services are tailored to your goals. One-on-one sessions, team cohesion packages, workshops, and our community called The Break Room, where pausers support each other. Because sometimes the best leadership move is knowing when to stop, breathe, and have the candid conversations that lead to hard-won solutions.
Dynamic doctor. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast to grow with. The clarity is potent. Take a pause in the moment. Breathe deep, let the soul lift. The podcast to grow with. The clarity is potent.